What if the transfer of $50 million in gold that created the Smithsonian Institution was actually a covert transfer of dynastic wealth? Let's get into it. I believe that this was a dynastic strategy employed by the corporate office of the estate of the House of Northumberland, and the family name at the time was the Percys. The castle behind me is the castle on their Northumberland estates, and it is the Alnwick Castle, the one used in the Harry Potter movies. So how does Smithson, an illegitimate son of a baron, become a key player in transferring $500 million in gold to the young United States? Well, it begins with his father, Hugh Percy, the Duke of Northumberland. He's known all the way back in 1785 as having conversations and letters with the American Philosophical Society, which was chaired by Benjamin Franklin. Plus, the Percy estates, the Northumberland estates, are known to have contained Druidic archives as well as Hadrian's Wall, plus castles like Alnwick. It also owns near London an ancient cathedral temple called the Sion House, as in Zion. So clearly the role of the Percy family or the Northumberland Trust Corporation involves a lot of relic and archive management of conquered societies. Okay, so that's what we see the elder grantor Percy doing, right? So he dies in 1799. Okay, and in his will, he passed just the liquid assets, gold and cash and bonds, to his illegitimate heir, James Smithson. Meanwhile, he did have legitimate heirs, male heirs, right? And he actually has three that all die without children while Smithson is alive. Smithson also ends up dying without child. 1807, the Smithson will is formalized with the United States being a beneficiary if Smithson dies childless. Okay, so keep this in mind. This is 1807. The Baron Percy died 8 years earlier. His three sons are still alive, but they're going to die childless in the next 20 years. Smithson's going to continue, but then all of a sudden, Smithson pops up in about 19 years later and decides to update his will, and it specifies his nephew, Hungerford, to receive his estate. And if Hungerford dies childless, then it goes to the United States government. All right, so we have 1799, death of the Percy Baron. For some reason at that point, the estate gets split. The land and the entailments go to the legitimate side. The cash and the gold go to the Smithson. All right. Smithson cruises along until he decides to change his will in 1826. Okay. It's almost 20 years later. And that's where you have the clause that if his nephew Hungerford dies without child, the United States government will receive this money. Interesting, right? Smithson ends up dying a few years after updating the will in Genoa, Italy. Again, why is he in Italy? He's an Englishman, also never been to the United States. His nephew Hungerford inherits. Hungerford basically lasts another 6 years. He dies in Pisa, no children. Then there's no contest. There's no peerage review. The crown doesn't audit. 500 million in gold is transferred to the U.S. Treasury, or the equivalent of potentially of about $12 billion today as a percentage of the nation's GDP. So we're talking a big chunk of money. So hit that follow button so you can see what happens next in this intriguing story, and consider subscribing for just $2.99 a month. I'm doing weekly deep dive videos for only subscribers. Handsome History out.